Hey there YouTube, Mountain Boy here, bringing to you my review of the SOG Altair FX for fixed blade. If you just don't want to watch the whole video and you want to get to the nitty gritty, I would kind of sum it up this way. Really good blade, really crappy sheath. And the problem is that this blade really kind of only fits a couple uses and it's really limited by its sheath. So anyway, if you're interested, keep watching and you can find out why. Anyway, the specs on the knife are blade length 3.4 inches, weight is a very miserly 2.6 ounces, MSRP is $149.95. It's a CPM 154 stainless steel. It's got a removable scales if you need to clean it, or I guess if you want to even go more lightweight. One of the things that I kind of think is kind of neat about the knife is it's got some really nice features. It's got jimping here on the tip, in the middle. Everything is beautifully machined. You can see all these kind of bevels that are kind of throughout the knife. It's even got kind of like a nice kind of thumb ramp on the back if you're going to kind of use it in a reverse hand grip. So as I see it, there's really kind of three intended purposes for this knife. One is as a hunting knife. 2 is for kind of self-protection. 3 is a utility camp knife. As a hunting knife, yes, it's got kind of the jimping up high on the blade, although it does actually feel like a bit more of an overreach. I wish it was kind of back here a little bit. But you can also see it's a fairly straight blade. Here's kind of a classic knife from Benchmade's Hunt line. You can see there's a lot more belly to the blade, especially if you're kind of getting in there and you're kind of cleaning. Also too, you can notice that this is kind of a rubber overmold with much more traction than on these scales. So I can see if there's, you know, kind of blood or viscera or water, that this is gonna kind of slide in your hand kind of quite a bit. As far as a self-protection knife, I wore this around for a couple days, and I have to admit, on the belt, it just disappears on your body. You forget it's even there. It's so light and it's so flat that it just goes under the clothes. It doesn't print, and you don't even know it's there. The only problem with it is that the sheath is not real stable on the belt and kind of moves around. And since if you're in a situation where you feel like you need to kind of draw this in a hurry, you're going to rely upon muscle memory, and you don't want the sheath position to be shifting around. So I ended up actually wearing the sheath under the belt to where the knife was between the belt and the body to keep it stable. Third is as a utility or camp knife, which is actually, I think it's pretty good. Now, admittedly, doing a lot of tasks in the woods, like kind of whittling, feather sticking, notching, I found that everything was fairly smoothed off. But just because it's such a small diameter handle, it puts a lot of pressure on your hand. You definitely wouldn't want to be working on projects all day long in this. You'd have blisters galore. And I would definitely recommend a set of gloves in your pack to use this. But again, if you're going backpacking, you just have this, and then you maybe have a smaller kind of general utility blade, yeah, you could pretty much kind of do everything you need with this. So as far as a review of the blade, it does what I want it to do. It's a fixed blade, full tang, solid little knife that I can easily carry in my day hiking backpack. I can take it backpacking. I can run it in my chest rig. I can put it in an EDC pouch. And it gives me the capability of a fixed blade without having to kind of suffer the weight. And that's also kind of considering I've got a folder in my pocket. So in many ways, this really is a secondary blade for me. As far as the manufacturing, the fit and finish, it's all wonderfully done. It had an amazing edge right out of the box. You can see all the beveling on it. Unfortunately, that means you can't throw sparks with a ferro rod. It feels quality. I like the fact that these scales are removable if you have to clean underneath, that you can kind of pop them off and clean it. There's a nice finish, nice kind of stonewash finish to it, and it's an attractive knife. Where I do get concerned is with the sheath. The sheath is what makes and breaks this knife. In this case, it breaks the knife. First of all, it's plastic, not Kydex. So plastic over time gets brittle and snaps. The whole sheath really depends upon two pieces of plastic that are very flimsy. One is these wings here. That's going to be an issue where that can easily snap off. Number two is between the clip and the sheath is this plastic triangle. And the idea with that is you can kind of arrange it at kind of a variety of angles to where you can carry it traditional, scout style, you can attach it to a backpack, you can put it into MOLLE webbing. It's meant to kind of do everything you can kind of think of, but it doesn't do any of them very well. With the way they have it, you can see there's just a lot of flex there, and it also kind of stands up and away from the body. The way that they've done the screws is it's meant to be two screws holding this together, but in reality it's just this one screw. This one screw, there's almost a hole there, but there's kind of a divot for it to sit in so it's secure. This other screw, it's just a half moon on the backside. So as you tighten this up, it just pops it out into the middle. So really this screw is ineffectual. You can just see it's kind of moving around. They use the same design here, but this is a much larger form function. And so you can see it's much more stable here. Both those screws fit in. They have the real estate to work with. Also, it's bigger plastic, right? There's still like a fair amount of flexibility and movement in the talus here, but it's, you know, it's something you can live with. Also with the sheath itself, I can run webbing through this. I've got lash points if I need it. There's just a lot more I can kind of do with this. Also, same thing, since this is plastic, there's just this one little keeper tab here, and that's all the retention on the knife. So the question is, in 5 years, is that going to decrease over time? Look at it compared to here, right? Lots of snap. You know, that's what it's meant to be. Also, look at the well on this. I can sit here and kind of jiggle it in and put this in without even looking at it. With this knife you have to see to be able to get this in, right? It's tiny. So long story short, I'm only going to be able to use this, I think, in one of two applications. One is in my chest rig that I wear when I go backpacking, or, you know, sometimes if I'm up on my property, I'm carrying a firearm. And what I like about it is it will fit inside of the chest rig. I unzip the top zipper and I can just reach in, pull the knife out. And that's fairly clean, that works fairly well, and I'm not gonna lose the knife. The other application is just without this altogether, and then I just stick it in my EDC pouch that rides on the top of my hiking backpack. Problem with that is accessibility. If I wanna use this, now I gotta get that out, I gotta pull it out, gotta just kind of use it for the application and put it all back together. So anyway, if I was to do it over again, I would probably go for the Benchmade Steep Country. For that kind of money, it's $30 more. You're gonna end up with a better steel. It's only a ½ an ounce heavier, but it's also a little bit bigger blade. You're gonna have a lot more traction on the scales, and you've got a USA made blade. I do believe this is made in Taiwan. On paper, wanted to love this knife, and now in practicality, I'm just a little disappointed with it. So it'll still be a good knife. I'll still use it, but you know, hopefully maybe folks from SOG will kind of hear this and they'll kind of take the feedback, and we'll see this knife with this kind of sheath here next year, you know, or just a simple Kydex sheath. Anyway, if you like this video, hit like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and thank you very much for watching. Take care.